Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So for today's case I'm going to be talking to you about is the Presti family. So Joanne Presti was a single mum of three. She had two sons, Justin and John, and a daughter called Alyssa. They lived in Woburn in Massachusetts, where the Boston accents are very thick. Joanne was described as being a very protective mother, always wanted to be outside with the kids and socialising every chance she had got. The Prestis were a very large Italian family. Alyssa was only 12 years old when she died. Her grandmother and Joanne's mum, Annette, described Alyssa as being her light, as she was her only granddaughter. Alyssa would help her mum with her siblings and was very responsible for her age. On January the 7th, 2004, a 911 call had been made into the Woburn Police Department. It was from Annette, Joanne's mum. She had said that she found her daughter dead. The police arrived at the case soon after. Inside the home, the kitchen did not show any signs of a struggle. Then they got into the living room, where they had found the 34-year-old Joanne. She had been found naked from the waist down. She had been beaten and stabbed. She also had been restrained with duct tape. Her underwear was found on the ground next to the couch, and the police believed Joanne had been sexually assaulted. The police then went upstairs to the second floor, and that's where they found Alyssa. She was found laying on the floor in her bedroom, and her throat had been slit. Alyssa's room showed signs of a struggle, like she had fought her attacker. There was blood that was on the mattress, on the wall, drawers that were pulled out, Alyssa's vanity. The sheets on her bed were also missing, and her duvet was rolled up into a ball. The police also entered one more bedroom, and it was the room of the 2.5-year-old John. He was found alive but very dehydrated. His fingers were white from him sucking on them, as his diaper was very soiled, like he had been there for several days. He was taken to hospital and was perfectly fine. The police determined that the killer had closed the bedroom door so that the baby couldn't hear what was happening to his mom and sister. The police now had to look around the house for any evidence and DNA the killer may have left behind. The police ruled out the robbery as being the motive. They found money and a roll of film on Joanne's desk in the house. Next, the police wanted to ask Joanne's neighbours if they heard anything or seen anything. They claimed that they didn't. The next option was to either look through Joanne's past relationships to see if the motive was to do with an angry boyfriend or an ex. Meanwhile, the autopsy came back and it was determined that Joanne was in fact sexually assaulted. The medical examiner was found semen on Joanne. It was determined that Alyssa wasn't sexually assaulted, but she had fought back, so she had the killer's DNA under her fingernails. The police had to go through multiple suspects until they found the real killer. The first suspect was A.J. Patel, the Presti's neighbour and landlord. He told the police that he didn't hear anything on that night, despite the home being in a duplex. The police found it really odd, but what was more odd was AJ was the actual last person to talk to Joanne. They had talked on the phone around 10 p.m. on the night that she was killed, and it only lasted a few minutes. The police thought it was weird that Joanne was talking to her landlord that late at night, until AJ told them that he and Joanne had met up a few times in AJ's house while AJ's wife was sleeping. He also had given Joanne money a few times. The show didn't really specify what kind of relationship that they had, but I'm guessing that it was more than just friends. AJ agreed to giving the police his DNA and letting them search his house. The police took glasses that Joanne and AJ had drank from, as well as a roll of duct tape. AJ's DNA eventually came back and it was not a match to the crime scene. He had been ruled out. The next suspect was Joanne's ex and the father of baby John, a man named Todd Peters. Joanne had told friends that she was deathly afraid of Todd at the time she had died. Todd had been very violent in the past, even hurting Joanne while she was pregnant, but he denied killing her. He also consented to giving his DNA, but it didn't match the crime scene, and he too had been ruled out. The next suspect was a local celebrity in Woburn, a man named John Cummings. He played in the NHL, the National Hockey League, for 10 years. He had gotten a career-ending injury, and it made him drink. He was also the father of Alyssa, but had only met her once and stopped paying his child support. A witness also came forward and said John wasn't too far from the Presti home on the night of the murder. He had been at a local bar that was just down the street. However, his DNA also didn't match the crime scene. The police had to go back over their evidence from the crime scene to figure out who the real killer actually was. They decided they might have answers if they developed the roll of film that they found in Joanna's desk. When the film was developed, they realized it was pictures of birthday party. While they were looking through the pictures, another officer recognized one of the men that was in the pictures. The man was named Michael Bizanowicz. He was also a level 3 sex offender. He raped a young boy and spent time in jail for it. The police wanted to go to the interview Michael. Michael was living with his girlfriend Barbara James in Joanne's neighborhood at the time that they were murdered. Joanne had also befriended Barbara when she had moved in. Detective Michael Pandolf with the Woburn PD said that they went to interview Michael. He was very nervous and shaky, and he could barely light his own cigarette. Michael was asked if he knew Joanne and if they had a relationship, or if he'd even been in her apartment. He said he had only been there once for the birthday party, and that he and Joanne didn't have a relationship. He was also asked where he was at the time of her murder. He said he and Barbara had been fighting that night, so he left and they were on the phone. Barbara denied that they were on the phone all night. She said that they stopped talking around 11 p.m. Michael also consented to a DNA sample. Michael's DNA was a match to the semen and the DNA under Alyssa's nails. There was also rope found in his truck and rope matched fibres on Joanne's body, and a suicide note had a written to his daughter. Michael was arrested and charged with 2 murders as well as a sexual assault of Joanne. Michael said he was innocent and the case had gone to trial. He was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He tried to appeal his case, but his life sentence was upheld in 2011. The laws have now been changed in Massachusetts to keep better track of sex offenders in the area and requiring offenders to update their addresses. This case is terrible, as they all are. The sick monster came into this family's house, a family he had only met once, and violated them. He also left a sweet, innocent baby alone in the house for days without any food or water. The baby could have died as well, and luckily he didn't. I hope that baby John, who's probably not a baby anymore, is doing well, or doing the best as he can. Michael Bizanowicz doesn't deserve to ever see the light of day again. I heard that sex offenders have the worst time in prison, so hopefully he is having a really horrible time and rotting. Okay then everyone, so that is today's case. Until next time, take care, bye bye.